So I admit it, when my now ex-husband sent me a text message ending the marriage, one of my very first responses to him was one of begging for him to stay, begging for him to take me back for us to work this out. Now, in retrospect, luckily he never responded. But at that point, I was so desperate to try to hold on to them, I was willing to do anything. And it's also easy to do that, isn't it? I mean, when we feel like our grip is slipping, what do? We hold on tighter. We desperately grasp on to anything that we can. But when it comes to relationships, that's not really the best move. Here are 5 reasons why you shouldn't beg them to stay. The first is this. Do you want them to be with you out of a sense of obligation or out of a sense of guilt? Or do you want them to be with you because they truly desire to be with you? And if you're begging them to stay, you're probably trying to make them think about all the reasons that they're obligated to. And you may even be bringing up things to make them feel guilty about their decision to leave. But is that ever going to feel good, being on the receiving end of that, when you know deep down that they're not with you because they want to be with you? They're with you because they feel like they have to be with you. You don't want to be somebody's obligation. You want to be their choice. Now, if you beg them to stay, they may agree to stay with you, at least for a while, but they're not really going to be committed. Instead, they agreed because it seemed like the easiest thing to do, or maybe they just wanted to shut you up so that you would leave them alone. So they're with you for now, but they already have one foot out the door and they're just waiting to be able to make a clean break. Sometimes when we beg them to stay with us, we promise all sorts of changes that we will make in ourselves in order to somehow become the partner that they say that they want or that we think that they want. And then what ends up happening is you have a relationship that is built on lies on both sides. You lying to yourself, rejecting yourself because you're pretending to be somebody that you're not. And then they're telling the lie to themselves that these changes will be enough for them to want you again. One of the biggest problems with begging them to stay is that it makes you look and feel weak. Begging says, I'm not enough for you. I know that I'm not enough for you, but please, please see it in your heart to take me in. But that is not who you are. You have so much value and so much worth and so much to give. Don't ever, ever be with somebody that sees you as something that they are simply settling for. Don't ever let their rejection make you tell yourself that there's something wrong with you. And then finally, the problem with begging them to stay is that it keeps you focused in the wrong direction. Because when you're begging, what you're saying is, I can't be okay without you in my life. If you don't choose me, I won't be okay. And in all of that, you're putting your happiness, your well-being in somebody else's hands. And it should never, ever be there. You are the one who's responsible for your own happiness. You don't need them. Now, one of the reasons that we beg them to stay is that we think that we need them. But I want you to really take the time, examine this. Do you want them or do you want the idea of them? Do you want them or do you want the image that you have of them built up in your mind? Do you want them or do you want what else they bring to the table? Sometimes it's amazing once we disentangle all of that, the actual person, from all the stories that we tell ourselves about that person, we realize how little we actually need them, how little they actually bring to our lives. And then we can get to the point where instead of begging them to stay, we're actually happy to see them leave. And then we can shift our attention from trying to prove that we are worthy to finding somebody who is truly worthy of us.